Hey,
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Android App Addicts, episode number 590. This episode is brought to you by a longtime Patreon supporter. He was around for a couple months, named J. Grafwalner. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the support, Jay Grafwalner. And I want to thank Josh and Ivor for all their support throughout the years. This is technically the first show of the year, so anything goes, I guess. How is everything? Well, Ivor, you just got back from a wedding. How was the wedding?
Yes, I just flew back from Auckland, and boy, are my arms tired. Got a better reaction from my kids. Yes, actually, I have we had a lovely time in Auckland. My son got married. I want to show you a picture of my new daughter-in-law, if that's okay. Just a minute. No, it's not the right screen.
anything goes,
Okay, you filthy-minded bastards.
Of course we are. That's like, come on now.
Yeah, where is it?
It depends, is the question.
She's a lovely girl.
This is riveting.
Here it is. Here's the picture. I don't know. It's not. Oh, hang on. There we go.
Hey, your son is sure ugly, man.
He looks just like your
bad teeth. No, that's me with my new daughter-in-law, and she's absolutely lovely. Her name is.
He's a lucky man.
Her name is Shelby, and he is a very lucky man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
great son.
he wearing a white tux?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Nice.
He's got a beard too. Yeah.
So he punched up.
He punched up, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. And that is not the only new addition we have in the family. We also have a new dog. Pepper, come here. Pepper, come here. Here she is. This is Pepper. She is a half miniature poodle and half fox terrier.
So she's half psychotic?
Proving to be a real pain in the butt. She is pretty psychotic, yeah. She's actually pretty good. She's not too bad. But we're getting used to her. We're getting used to each other. But
does she get rabbits?
She does. Yeah. She likes to go into the house and pull the corpses out from under the house, and that the cat has left there, and then chew on the bones and bring them inside. She also likes to eat sheep poo. One of her favorite things to eat is sheep poo.
So she's a recycler.
She probably vomits up. She's a recycler. Yeah, she's a great recycler. But she's good. She's very cute.
Parts of the sheep.
There you go. No, she's been great. We've been getting lots of exercise and going for walks and doing stuff like that. So that's half the reason I got her in the first place. But anyway, enough about me. You guys. Yep.
Yeah. So, Josh, how was your short hiatus from the show?
Busy. I mean, I guess that's probably the obvious. Just been trying to get through some semi-self-imposed deadlines, and then did some traveling. We went on a ski trip, and then just life in general. But it's been good, man. It's been like 10 degrees here in the middle of January, so that's quite nice.
Did you take your boy skiing as well?
Yeah, he's been doing some lessons. So full disclosure, I'm just terrible at skiing, and my wife is amazing at skiing. I mean, she grew up Canadian, so I think you have to get in at least one hockey fight and learn how to ski. Right. And so she does most of the holding him and helping him down the hill, because it would just be an absolute train wreck if I was trying to control him and myself. He's actually probably better than I am now. He's 4 years old after 3 lessons.
Well, I mean, he has a much lower center of gravity as well, so he has a advantage.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I found it hard enough when I was 14 to learn how to ski. Can't imagine what it'd be like for a 4-year-old.
Well, more bouncy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You would have loved it.
I had somebody like 2 years ago try to invite me to go snowboarding, to which I explained to that person, the only time I'm on snow or ice is in like a parking lot or my driveway. I've never been on a hill except for sledding, like when I was like 5 years old. So no, I'm not starting now unless you want to take me to the emergency room.
There should probably be a law saying anyone over 40 should not ski.
Not for the first time, no.
Unless they're medically insured for hip replacements.
Yeah, well, I say I pass on that. My for the last month I've been, I'll say, weirdly busy. Lots of doctor's appointments. Yay. Had our wedding anniversary, which coincided with my sister-in-law's birthday, which was literally New Year's Eve. So she wanted to go up there New Year's Eve, aka amateur hour. You know what I mean? That's the night. If there's any night I'm not going to enjoy a beverage, it's that night. And the fog, I literally couldn't see like 50 feet in front of me the whole day going up. And then when we came home, so I was literally driving, like, this is my first time driving a car, kind of strictness, 2 hands, you know, on a wheel. Yeah, 2 and 10, and just eyes on the road full time, never blinked, never, until we got home. Yeah, fun night. Great. Also, I'll say in the last week, my OnePlus Nord N100 decided to just finally start to actually give up the ghost. Where when I went into work, I did a speed test and I was getting 1 meg down and like 1/10 of a megabyte up speed. And then I noticed randomly I would get an exclamation point in my LTE thing on my phone, which means limited connectivity. Me and my son drove to one of his doctor's appointments, which is almost an hour away. Like halfway home, we were talking about stuff, and I said, I wonder how much caffeine it would take to kill the average human. Push the button on Android Auto. How much caffeine would it take to kill the average human? Just sit there, time out, hit the button again. After hitting it like 15 times, my son said, I can just look it up on my phone. I'm Irish. I'm stubborn. This thing will do it sooner or later. And then like another 15 tries and it finally worked. To which he said, I think it's time you hang that phone up, Dad. So we came home.
Reformatting it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's literally just the Wi-Fi and the mobile is just dying. So I took his old phone because he got a new Moto G stylus, 5G stylus. So I took over his Moto G7 Power. It's not particularly nice, but I'm getting faster download speeds. So I got that going for me. And since I just spent over $300 on hosting fees, I'm not getting a phone anytime soon. She made that clear. So yeah, I'm just going to make this work. And so right now, because I have so many podcasts, literally my old phone is like my portable Walkman, if you will. And then the other phone is for communications and navigation while in the car. So it's working is what I want to say.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So do you guys have any new hardware, either ambitions or things that you're looking at?
No, I personally don't, but I did. I changed my wife over to iPhone.
I thought you said you just changed your wife over.
Yeah, well, they traded her in for a new iPhone. And a MacBook too for Christmas.
Right. Good deal then.
Yeah, well, it's just, yeah. I mean, she was using a Redmi something, and just kind of a POS operating system. And she had been on the Apple products before, and so I thought it's going to save me a lot of IT work to go that way.
There you go. There's only one good reason to buy anybody an Apple device, because you can't ask me questions. I'm not an Apple person. You got to ask somebody else Apple questions. And that's the best reason to buy somebody an Apple device. Now, with that stated, I had to point out to my relative who is a Apple fanatic, just take a look at dictators around the world, and you'll notice one thing in common. They all use iPhones. Every single one. There's not a single communist type place where you see the leader having an Android phone in their hands. And there's a reason for that. I said, because it's a fascist device meant for fascist people, which means they have total control. So the end user has a really hard time messing stuff up.
Join the dots, people. Follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
Leads you straight to iPhone and the lizard people.
Yeah, well, I set my iPhone on the edge of the flat Earth and it fell off.
Or did the cat knock it off?
Because of the rounded corners. That's what I blame.
Well, there is one thing I would like to try on her MacBook is some programming though, because I've got this. My computer is now 4 or 5 years old, but it has 32 gigs of RAM and it's an i7 7th generation, something like that, and it just kind of bogs down when I'm running too many processes or running a Node app, and I don't quite understand why. So I'd like to try to tap out her MacBook because it has an M2 processor, which is apparently the nuts as far as Apple products go.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's the new processor, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's awesome. So I did all the research, said, okay, I'll just get this one 2023 or 2022 MacBook, whatever, Air, I guess. And then I realized you can have one external monitor.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah, so then you have to buy a little like a docking port or docking hub and download some software in order to run more than one monitor.
Right. And then you only get two.
Then you get two. Yeah.
Well, on your device, the one thing I would try to encourage you to run is like get a second monitor, a second computer, SSH into your working computer and run something like BTOP, Bash Top, and just watch, because I'm able to find at least, there's slow IO with this disk, or RAM is filling up, let me do some of this kind of thing. I've had success with that. The other thing I'll say is why are you even writing programs anymore? This is 2023, brah. Just go to Chat GPT and just describe what you want and what language you want, and it will punch out garbagey code that halfway works.
There'd be some punch out going, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'll say this. There's one piece of hardware news I wanted to mention, only because it's only going to become more relevant as time goes on, is the way I'm going to put it. We are in the midst. I don't even know if that's the right term right there. We're in the beginning of a revolution in hardware infrastructure, and that is RISC-V. RISC-V will take over an incredible portion of computing in the future. Right now, it's not much. In 6 months, it's not going to be a lot. In 2 years, it's going to start to make a dent. In 5 years, it's going to start to be everywhere. And there's a reason for it. It's because it is completely open. If I live in a country like India, and I'm the head of that country, who is now the largest population country in the world, and I want to trust my computing platform emphatically from beginning to end, I cannot run AMD. I cannot run ARM. I cannot run Intel. I can only run RISC-V because I can control the entire hardware stack from beginning to end. Google, aka Android, said that they want RISC-V to be a tier 1 Android architecture. What I'm going to say is that's not something that they say lightly. And it isn't that they want it to be a tier 1 architecture. I think they just have people smart enough to read the tea leaves saying this is a very possible huge chunk of computing in the future. So why don't we adopt it now? Like the example is, this is 2023. Windows still barely runs on ARM processors. Okay. They don't want to be like the Microsoft when it comes to ARM. Google wants to be ahead of the curve. So they're going to try to bring in a whole bunch of RISC-V support into Android as soon as possible, which I will say will be great for low-end appliance type devices thing for at least a little while until it really gets mature to where you can get, extra processing power, especially graphics processing. Then it will be, I think, actually competitive.
So do you have to, with RISC-V, do you just print your own processors then? Is that how it works? Or is it like ARM where there's a V6, 7, 8?
I'll say it's a hybrid of both. They do have standards that they have in place. And like in ARM, you can pick all different kinds of modules to bring into your processor. Like you can say, I want this processor to do extremely fast encryption, or I want it to do very fast H.264 encoding and decoding. There are separate modules you can bring in so you can specialize what your processor is for. The difference between this and ARM is you then as a producer can add anything you want to it. And there's no licensing you have to worry about. There's nothing you have to worry about it violating. So then you can print your own processors. And where the real advantage is going to be is we're going to see a lot more homebrew operating systems is what I'm going to put it, where you're going to have complete infrastructure inside countries where their entire data center is going to be running off of their own processors to where they don't have to worry about Intel, backdoors, purposeful or accidental, or anybody else's fingers, coming into their computing environment without explicit permission. And because of that security that comes native with it, it's going to just, I think, exponentially get even more popular with each 3 month, 6 month time span.
With that being said, are those with add-on components, we'll call them, is that hardware or is it software? Well, I guess the question I'm asking is, say that Google does accept RISC-V and that's Android's now running on RISC-V. Could a developer develop software to turn a phone into a heavy encryption device or to ramp up the graphics or something like that?
Well, the way I put it is you can do anything in software, but it's going to take a hardware hit to do it. So if you don't bring in the H.264 explicit part of the chip design into your infrastructure, you can still do it, but it's going to take a hit on the processor and it's going to be a slower thing to happen. Where if you bring in the hardware side to it, it's going to increase the cost. It's going to increase complexity in production, but it's going to make it much more quicker, much more efficient. The only place I see this having issues in air quote is going to be with proprietary network communication protocols like 5G, like Verizon 4G kind of thing, where those people are going to be really sticklers about not letting anybody into their cookie jar kind of thing.
Bring it on, I say. The sooner the better.
Yeah, because and with all this speculative whatever, the one thing is true. It's going to encourage competition. And whenever there's competition, users win. So I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Yep.
So Ivor, if you want people to think that you're a cutting edge developer, say that you're developing Rust for RISC-V.
Yeah, right. Using Chat GPT with quantum computing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a synchronous, heterogeneous environment involving all races and cultures and ethnicities. Boom! Investment funds coming your way.
Written in equity.
In a sustainable fashion. Small batch.
And I'll plant a tree every day.
Locally sourced.
Yeah, locally. Oh man. Okay, yeah. I'm starting to barf my mouth. Okay. When it comes to other hardware stuff, I will say we had a couple more leaks with a couple more things coming out where foldables are going to maybe come down in price to be a middle range kind of thing, which is one of those things. I'll again believe it when I see it. It's going to have to be like almost identical pricing. I think for the average person to say, okay, this is $500, this is $550. What? Maybe I'll try it. You know, people don't like spending a lot more for something because, and the example is the stylus is in the phone. Everybody I know, including my son, gets a stylus in a phone. First week, uses the stylus a lot. Second week, uses the stylus a little bit. Third week, forgets the stylus is even there.
Fourth week, loses it behind the couch.
Yeah. When it comes to foldables or stretchables or whatever, I think they're going to have to be a significant improvement, number one, but also before you open them up, they have to be completely usable as a normal phone device. If the only time I get general productive usefulness is when I unfold it, that I'm lazy. I'm an American. I don't want to have to do extra steps. So they're going to have to make it genuinely usable before you unfold or expand. That's my belief.
Well, I mean, a lot of them do that at the moment, apart from the Motorola ones, the Razrs, and the Samsung Flips. They have very small front screens. We open up into a fully featured one. I mean, those front screens still have an element of utility about them. You can tell what your latest message is, what time is, how many emails you've got, whatever you want to know at a glance. But if you want to do more, you can just flip open your phone and go from there. So right. I don't know. If you've got something at the front, you don't have to have a fully functional screen, because then you basically got two phones and you're just paying too much money then. So I think there's a use case for the Flip as well as the Fold.
Yeah, I mean, I understand like the razor type flipping being a normal type of behavior, but I just think when it's closed, it has to be able to serve most of your purposes. And then if we go the complete polar opposite side of hardware news speculation kind of thing, there's a new Lenovo device being sold in China that has a 7-inch display, Snapdragon 888, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was basically the last generation chipset before they start to go toward the new Gen 1, Gen 2, like gaming kind of things. And it literally looks basically like a handheld gaming computer, like a Nintendo Switch with controllers that don't come apart, is what I'm going to say. The real kicker is this thing is being sold for, I want to say, less than $200 US, which is a kind of crazy low price. The screen isn't great, it isn't currently priced at $300. Snapdragon 28. I want to say it said it was like $180. I'll just put it like this. This is the kind of device I can see giving it to a kid, aka shutting them up. Here, play games on this. Because here's the thing, because it's on Android, the amount of free, in air quote, games where all you got to do is watch ads once in a while is extreme. So I can see this being one of those like devices for people who aren't old enough yet to own a phone, and here is your device to play games with, kind of thing. And for the price, I honestly, I'm going to say it's pretty hard to beat. Even just a 7-inch screen in a tablet or a phone, it's hard to get less than $200.
Yeah, but it's Lenovo, so it will be crap.
Your personal experience. The best computers I've ever had in my life are ThinkPads.
Oh, I'm not complaining about the computers. The computers are good. Everything else is rubbish. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. I wouldn't touch it with Josh's.
I had a Lenovo phone, and it was fine. It was on par with like Asus phones, about as long as my Asus phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, you were lucky.
I wanted to drop a comment about, well, not about that thing. That I really don't even like the look of that device. But before that, when we were talking about foldable phones, I tried to get a word in, but you guys will never shut up. So I'm gonna have to go back to that. Oh, I have a Facebook account which I've had since the beginning of time, like everyone, and the only reason that I use it is for the marketplace. So I mean, I'm about as anti-Facebook as you can be, while still using features of it that are useful. But anyway, so I was looking for something. I'm looking for a fish tank right now, actually, because I want to try to create an aquaponics system to grow some vegetables and using fish poop. But I saw a, oh man, well it was a foldable phone that somebody was selling, and so that was the first time I've seen one in the wild still. But I found it kind of interesting that it's already making it to the secondary market.
Right.
Yeah, well, they're a couple of years old now. We've had them for a couple of years. Some of the earlier models would be coming out of contract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're also in a tech-forward country. I'm in Canada, man. Like, most of the people still have Nokia flip phones.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I was with somebody and they pulled out a flip phone, I would immediately say, "Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me. I gotta play with it. I gotta, see what it's like."
Where's Snake?
Yeah. So I keep thinking they're inevitable, but the time frame I'm just not comfortable with guessing.
Well, I don't know. You talk about the inevitability of the flip phone, but I think what we are inevitably going to end up with is a phone that will fit inside a display like your laptop, and it will power your laptop. And eventually, that will shrink down to the size of something that will fit on your wrist.
You mean the phone tab?
There it is.
You mean the Asus phone tab?
Yeah, something exactly like that. You'll have something but you'll take it to work with you. You'll slot it into the display at your desk, and everything that you need for your work will be on that phone. The phone will be the only device you need, apart from the big display.
It'll be made by Lenovo.
I'll just say I would like that
and I
to
won't buy it
happen.
if it is.
I would like that to happen, Ivor, just because I love the idea of having a pocket or pocketable computer that when I come home, I put it in a dock or whatever, and voila, I have my entertainment system, games, whatever I want to do. And then at work, I slap it in and I have my, VS Code and stuff like that.
Yeah, right, Dor. We know you have the exact same thing. I got my movies and my games.
Maybe. Well, look, I'll just put it like this. I'm a government employee. I've been there for 26 years. I'm pretty sure I can, in like 3 hours, do what the average state employee does in like 16. Just saying.
I was just thinking that I think about it a lot now, because you just see these kids that are working at places and they're just sitting down on their phone doing nothing until somebody goes over to them and says, like, hey, go mop or sweep or do whatever you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I thought about that today. The part I thought about today was, man, I could probably do the work of about 6 of these kids in the same amount of time, right? Like, just, I don't, maybe, me too, Dor. I just, back when I was your age, I actually busted my ass to get stuff done.
Right. And of course, they won't pay you 6 times the money.
Well,
Can we just revisit something that Josh said a little while ago, which was trying to grow vegetables in a fish tank?
Yeah, my buddy Tracy Holtz did that for about 5 years in Texas. He had a aquaponics farm where he had huge, I want to say it was something like 3,000 gallon containers, where on the bottom he had salmon, I want to say, and on the top he had cabbage. And basically the fish ate the algae that was put in, the fish poop caused the cabbage to grow, and then the cabbage roots he would cut, and then the fish would eat them as well. And he was able to basically go to the local restaurant and say, hey, locally sourced cabbage, hey, locally sourced fish. And he was able to make bank for a couple years, and then he decided, I'm bored.
I'm going to suggest Josh isn't growing vegetables.
That's possible. Yeah.
Well, it's all legal here now, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I will say it isn't far from him. I want to say it is the largest square footage or cubic footage building in the Western Hemisphere, and all it does is grow Mary Jane. It is like ridiculously big. The guy literally on one end went up in a helicopter, and he kept going up, and you couldn't see the other end of the building. It was ridiculous.
Wow. Oh yeah, there was a boom here for sure. A lot of them are going out of business or cutting back production and stuff as well now. Don't ask me how I know that.
Well, because it drives your economy. I mean, for a change, you have Canada driving its own economy instead of it piggybacking off of, U.S. And I say that because other Canadians tell me we don't have an economy. We just, we're like 2 years behind what you guys are doing, and we just make money off of you.
Sounds about right.
But I digress. Yeah, it's going to be legal everywhere just because governments love money and taxation of money. The only question is,
we had a referendum here a couple of years ago, and it was narrowly turned down, so it's still illegal here.
I'm shocked by your government, man. Like it's
well, she just stepped down like 2 days ago, right?
Sure did.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Throw another fascist.
Such a shame to see her go.
Thank you. Exactly.
I wept for days. There were tears of joy, of course.
Yeah.
What about the new guy? You know anything about him?
Oh, he's not much better. No,
nah.
They're all the bloody same.
Yeah.
Try not to have anything to do with them.
See, that's why you need stuff legal to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, the app I'm going to bring it came from the same guy, Tracy Holtz, who had the aquaponics farm, and he grew blueberries because for some reason blueberries where he was at in Texas were worth a fortune. He is also a huge audiobook nut. This guy goes like nuts for audiobooks, kind of how I am with podcasts. And he sent me this link. Basically, this takes in Plex, you have TV shows, movies, other video clips, and then you have audio. Right now, Plex does not do a fantastic job of curating the music and presenting it to you in a good fashion. Any kind of audio, music or audiobooks. This player is basically a layer on top of the Plex format, but it's explicitly designed for audiobooks. And I gotta say, it actually looks like it works pretty good. It's called Chronicle Audiobook Player 4.
And that's not the number 4 either.
No, it should say Plex.
For nothing.
Maybe Plex got mad at him and told them they had to take name out of their player, but it's called Chronicle Audiobook Player 4. And it's from UP Pack. It does have some sort of in-app purchase. Honestly, I'm not positive what it is. Updated on May 27th, 2022. Data safety. No data is shared with third-party libraries and no data is collected. Quick tangent. I still have not heard a single Android podcast even mention that this is now surfaced in Google Play. On the web, it's very easy to see. On the handheld, it's a little bit different. That this data is now being surfaced to you. This, to me, seems like the opposite thing of what normally happens. What normally happens is Apple becomes more like Android, and Android becomes more like Apple. Quick side tangent again. Apple is starting to enable sideloading. In Android 13, they're going to start to disable some sideloading. Where if you're on
Android
the newest...
14.
Android 14, where if you try to load an app that's designed for Android 12, sideloads on Android 14, it's going to start to block you, is the gist of it. But at least they're starting to surface this kind of data. Back onto it, 257 reviews, average reviews 2.9. which I will say he did admit it had a rough start when it was going. It's only at version 0.41, requires 5.0 Android and up, 10,000 plus downloads, content rating E for everyone. The in-app purchase is only $3.99. I do believe that is a thank you donation kind of purchase, and that's all it is. Permission, all it needs is Wi-Fi network access, because it's basically streaming the audiobooks for you. If you're a huge fan of audiobooks and you either know somebody with a Plex library of audiobooks, or you want to set one up yourself, I definitely encourage you to check this app out. It will be in the notes. I'm going to try to make sure in the notes, at least it's called Chronicle Audiobook Player for Plex.
I thought it was.
Would
just
this work on Android TV? Because most of my Plex is on Android TV.
I have no idea. Android TV is a limited subset of application support, so it's the kind of thing you got to try to just load it up in the store, see if it works. You can't side load in. Oh,
there is a way you can, but it's a bit complex. Bit of a faff, as we say.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll say on Google Android TV Chromecast, it's not difficult at all. You just go into the settings, developer mode, have a storage device connected to it. You just use any file browser, go to that and click it, install, and it works.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Plex is actually doing well in the fight to take over people's media, or to be the one source of people's media. But I think YouTube's going to beat it there.
Well, it's going to be very difficult for them to compete with anybody. But I will say I did see, really quick, flashback, 30 days before COVID. I was swearing because there were people in Congress who were starting to say Plex is a platform for piracy. And they were saying that out loud. Then COVID happened. They got distracted in a good way. So now they're not talking about that at all. Last week, I saw more than a couple articles that are saying it's now, like, proven in air quote, a majority of traffic on Plex is coming from their content that they're providing to you, and not from other people's personal libraries, because they now have a decent amount of content where you watch ads every now and then. And I'll say, for some of that stuff that the wife's watched, it technically works fine, so more power to them. But yes, to compete with something like YouTube, they're going to need something huge to happen, because YouTube will destroy them. It's just a matter of time.
Well, the problem was buy them and shut them down.
Yeah. The other problem I have with Plex is you get a minute and a half of ads every 5 or 10 minutes, I think, and they're all the same ad. It's in my case, it's Viagra. So, I'm trying to stay away from the Plex movies.
They're obviously looking,
but it's
obviously looking at
for
your
audio.
browsing history as well.
If they were, they wouldn't be trying to offer me Viagra.
Yeah, I'll say when I want something and I can't find it on someone's library, or the wife can't find it on, whatever streaming service that we pay for, I literally just pirate it, download it, transcode it, put it on my Plex library. The next one I have to download, because we can't find it, is Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams and that guy, can't remember his name.
The guy with the thing.
The guy from American History X and a couple other movies. Yeah, him. Ed Norton. Yeah. So I got to download that one because my son hasn't watched that one yet. And as far as I'm concerned, that's almost like a must-watch movie. I'm just saying.
Haven't seen it.
Oh my goodness. It's good. It's good.
In terms of the castle, compared to the castle, would it hold a candle, or would it scale 1 to 10?
The castle has more replayability, is what I'll say. But at least the first time,
it's hard to compare anything to Bonnie Doon.
Yeah, Bonnie Doon, the Serenity. The good thing about Death to Smoochie is there's going to be at least a couple times where you're literally going to be like floored. I can't believe what I just saw. But then seeing it again, you're not as shocked. So
Right.
So
It was interesting you mentioned.
1 to 10
Sorry.
castles, how many would it be?
At least 3.
3 castles?
It's our new rating system
Yeah,
Sure.
the castle scale.
for movies and TV shows. I'm glad you mentioned the side loading issue there, Dor. We got a minute to talk about that.
Of course.
The new development Android 14. Let's put a link in the chat. So I saw this article on Android Authority the other day about Android 14 could block app side loading to some extent. Now they're kind of dressing this up as maybe a move to improve the security on Android to stop people side loading apps from dodgy Play stores, or making sure they have the most up-to-date version of Android before they can actually load any apps. To me, I don't know, I'm a bit conflicted about this one. I think it's any move to improve the security on Android is great, but I don't believe that's what it's all about. I believe this is about shutting down access to other apps and other app stores and channeling people directly to the Google Play Store and keeping them away from those other third-party stores like F-Droid. Will be interesting to keep an eye on this in the future to see what actually happens and if they go full Apple and try and shut down people's access to sideloading apps at all, which I can see glimmering on the horizon.
Well, I think that would be almost good insofar as that it would push people to other open OSs, and then create more competition that way as well. Because it's an iPhone at that point, right? Like, you can't do what you want with it, and it's locked down in its own little secret garden. So, I'm already starting to dislike Android more and more, and if they do that, I think I would be pretty much done.
I'm starting to dislike Google's version of Android more and more, and as you say, if it pushes people off into alternatives that are more private, more secure, less open to advertising, so much the better. Maybe it is a good thing that they do this. They'll force the market open.
Yeah, it's like I just got a Google Opinion Rewards questionnaire where it asked me how do I feel about Google? Do they care about my data? I was like, no. Like, do they care about keeping your data secure? It's like, no. And then it asked like 1 or 2 questions, and then it said, well, why not? Use as many words as you want. I said, because Google only cares about keeping my data secure for their ad needs. Period. So it's like, yeah, they care about the security of my data as long as they have complete access to it, and as long as other people don't. They want to keep all the fish in their pond all the time. What I wish this new version would do, it's quite literally kind of like now if you go to System, About, and tap the Android version number 7 times, then it would open up developer options. What I would really love is if after doing that, you could say sideload any app I want. Thus, you will not have grandma and grandpa or anybody else accidentally installing a version from Android 8. You know what I mean? I get what they're trying to, let me rephrase that. I get what they're trying to convey, the idea of what they say they're trying to do. Okay. Keeping everything up to date, in air quote, is a very solid way of keeping things more secure than less secure. Because security, we only learn more as every day goes on. It doesn't mean new applications are more secure, but at least I think it's easier for them to maintain standards moving forwards. But I still, as an end user, want to own my device. I don't want to feel like I'm renting my device from them and they actually own it. So if they do start to block stuff, then I'm back to getting root again. That's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for instance, I every now and then Google wants to go into Google Play and allow for automatic updates, and I got to keep turning it off. because I'm still running an old version of LastPass on purpose because I'm not paying them money, and I still am not convinced anything on the market is any more secure than LastPass. I say that, and I want somebody to prove me wrong, but that has not happened yet. So I'm still using LastPass. I'm still using the old version of LastPass so I can use it on desktop and mobile with no issues.
So despite the massive security breach that LastPass had,
No, it's all
you're still using it because you think it's more secure?
no. Look, after listening to over 300 days worth of news in the last year, the couple things I can tell you that are true is you always have to pay attention to the inflection of people who are talking, and you always have to pay attention to the amount of verbs they use to emphasize what they're talking about. If you listen to that Steve Gibson Security Now about the LastPass breach, it was packed, filled with verbs and excitement because he felt personally scorned because he supported them in the past. If you take a look at any technical writing about it on any news article, 99% of the article is not fact. It's I feel, I believe, I think. And then, I don't know about you guys, I've now had about 80 people I know run that PowerShell code on their computer. None of them have returned number one. Not a single one. So, if you get in a car, could you die? Yes. Do we do it anyway? Yes. Why? Because the odds are low. Same thing with that LastPass thing. Now, with that said, every single other password system in the world uses your clipboard. There's nothing in the world more insecure than me as a security program trusting your clipboard to handle sensitive data. So I won't use anything like Bitwarden or anything like that because they all use your clipboard. So they're not more secure. They're 10 times less secure as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, listening to that interview, or well, the Security Now. Yeah, it was. If you listen, you were talking about inflections and things like that matter, and the number of verbs, but just words matter as well. And I got from that interview that it wasn't a big problem either, and he knew that it wasn't a big problem. I think that was the point that he was trying to make. But then one of their main sponsors is Bitwarden, and so he can tell you all he wants that that's not affecting his opinions, but I mean it has to on some level, I would imagine.
Well, and then I'll also say 2 facts of life, and I'm old. I know this kind of thing. 1, the grass is never greener on the other side, for God's sake. Stop jumping ship thinking it's going to be greener. 2, there's no such thing as perfection. If you don't want computer problems, don't have computers. If you don't want technical issues, don't have computers. Every password management system is going to have flaws. You have to just educate yourself and pick which flaws are you able to put up with. This is like Mailwidge. Mailwidge is compromise. Pick your battles is what I'm going to say. And with me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with LastPass. I just don't want to pay the money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why. And actually, I think I did pay them money before, and it was $1 a month. And then right when LogMeIn bought them, I think they doubled the price. Was the first thing that they did.
And then they quadrupled
the price. Yeah, and I said no. And then, I mean, I pay Bitwarden $10 a year because I'd rather give them money than LogMeIn or just a company. It's crazy. You buy something and then it's like they're like what is it, Martin Scarelli?
Yeah.
Of apps, right?
I forgot that guy's name. Yeah, that was the drug guy. Yep.
Yeah, Farmer Bro.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather pay Bitwarden $10 a year and still use LastPass, just because I want more competition. And Bitwarden, I know, can do better. And so far, as far as I know, Bitwarden has only been independently audited by one company, and for all I know, it's their bro. For all I know, it's their cousin. For all I know, it's their little brother's company doing it. Having one independent audit is like not having an audit at all.
But it was done by Whitborden.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm going to say this. I was watching a thing where there was an interviewee and he was asking the guy, what is one of your like devilish habits that you do? And he was like, I don't think you want to know what it is. And the guys were like, oh crap, what do we got here? And he was like, I secretly like to go on vacation to places that just experience horrible terrorist attacks. And the people were like, what are you talking? He says, no, you gotta understand. When there's a thing that happens in Paris, France, where like 10 people die, month after that, prices are at their best. And the security's at the top of their game. Nothing's going to happen. It's the safest time you can possibly go. Look, if there's ever a time to jump on LastPass, it's right now. It's never going to get safer than it ever was because because right now there are people behind the stage with whips, telling people, get stuff done, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm fine,
Yeah. So let's just say, hypothetically, someone gets access to your clipboard.
Mm-hmm.
They would have access to the last password that you used, right?
Not in
every single password you've ever used, or what? Everything that's ever been on your clipboard.
No, not in LastPass. They would have access to nothing. But using any other system,
a different system, yeah.
If I got access to your clipboard, I would run a process to see how intensive my thing is, and I would literally try to hit your clipboard every 15th of a second. Mm-hmm. And just see if there's a change. If there's a change, copy it off. If there's a change, copy it off. By default, Bitwarden never clears your clipboard. You have to go into Bitwarden settings and say, clear the clipboard after X seconds. You can't make it too short because then if you say fill out my password, it won't fill it out because it's too short of a time. Because it takes time for the application to say, go into the library, copy, go into the browser, paste.
Right. So would it get access to every single thing you've ever put on your clipboard, or would it only get access to the last thing that went on there?
I'll say it depends on the system. There are clipboard management systems that some people do install that will give me complete access to everything that you've ever done. Otherwise, It's just what's currently there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like there's like default, I'll say this, KDE plasmoids that come in with the Plasma desktop that by default have a complete history of your clipboard. And the first thing I do is I nuke that thing.
Yeah.
Because it's, just incompetent. It's
I was just wondering because the idea of a password manager is it will just give you a different password for every single thing you're trying to log into. So if it has access to your clipboard, it's only putting the last password that you use, which is an individual unique password that you can't use anywhere else. So it's only getting access to one website or one function, even if that clipboard is compromised. But I was wondering if it had access to the whole clipboard history, then that would be a different issue.
Well, I'll say it depends. And if you do get infected, I'll say this, and you have LastPass installed and your value is down to 1, then they have access to all of your entire vault, period.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. But but it's also one of those things you got to remember. If the thing has access to your clipboard, they have access to everything else. They can do key logging. They can map your drives. They can literally encrypt your files, upload your files, or whatever. Which is another reason why I don't do anything vitally important on Windows. I don't even do my tax stuff on Windows.
Yeah, no, you want to do that.
How does LastPass do that then? Do they use jQuery or something to fill in auto-populate?
No, they have custom plugins for each browser, for each operating system that literally uses I want to say object linking and embedding, like actual operating system level code to push values from one basically system to another. I don't want to say to use the clipboard as a lazy man's way to do it, but every operating system has a clipboard that you can just use for your convenience. But yeah, I will say there was a time, maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago, where on Android, it was using the clipboard. And then they started to use the accessibility feature. and using the accessibility feature on Android, they got around using the clipboard. And then Android said they were going to start to get strict on who can use the clipboard, who can't use, who can and who cannot use the accessibility feature. And they were panicking because they didn't know, because they did not want to use the clipboard. So yeah, again, experts out there, if I'm wrong, you got to prove it to me. Because I can tell you the last time I installed Bitwarden, I'll say this, the two things I know that I experienced was you could go in and change the clipboard settings, which means it's using the clipboard. And two, when I installed the local server and I DNS black holed their main server, my stuff wasn't working. So
Okay.
that's why I keep wanting to use LessPass, which is integrated into Nextcloud. But first, I have to have Nextcloud that will actually run for a year without instance. And that hasn't happened for a while.
Right.
My Nextcloud keeps blowing up on me.
Something I noticed today, I've used Signal for many, many years just as a default SMS and, well, Signal messaging when someone else has it. And I noticed today for the first time that one of the group chats that I'm in with two people, and it's just an SMS chat, it says that Signal can no longer send the SMS, which I knew was coming, but I didn't know when.
Yep.
And so apparently that's now, which is going to, maybe I'll pick your guys' brain here in a minute as far as what to use as an SMS. But I've just found this is a GitHub repo called Signal Android, and it's a fork of Signal. And what they're trying to do is keep SMS in it. And I know that Signal is, or they say they're removing SMS because it adds an attack vector, basically, that they don't feel that they can secure, or they're not willing to put enough resources towards securing. And so this might be an interesting alternative that does keep SMS and Signal together.
Yeah.
Does it have to do with the fact that they're trying to get away from using phone numbers?
Possibly. It might be that they use a clipboard. That was a joke.
Yeah, I'm just checking. Going back to the password manager thing, I'm just checking my. I use one password, and the security settings, it's got automatically clear clipboard after 30 seconds of copying a value to the clipboard.
Right.
So I get 30 seconds. So as you're saying, if they're trying to hit it every 15th of a second, then that's not going to be any good to anyone, is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. And I will say, in the news here recently, another reason why Gibson was probably mad, Steve Gibson was mad, was because it turned out his beloved Threema is useless. There's nothing about it that is secure. It's filled with holes. Walking up to somebody and showing them your QR code, which has the 3 green lights of support, means absolutely nothing. Again, I'll say it. If you try to reinvent secure stuff, you're always going to fail. If you do like what Moxie Marlinspike does, and you plan for this thing to try to fill holes, you're going to be the more secure option every single time. That has the side holes with the phone number kind of thing in there. And I will say this, Signal was in the news the other day, where the new CEO said something to the effect of, if you're like a restaurant and someone comes into your place and eats food that isn't a vulnerability. It was weird, is what I'm going to say.
Marlinspike's stepped down now, though, hasn't he? He's not there anymore.
He's not the CEO. He's still, I believe, I still believe he's the lead programmer. But yeah, he's the closest thing we have to like a digital freedom fighter here in like 2023. I still trust Signal more than virtually everything else, but it's also hard to beat if you just have something obscure installed on your phone and use that, like Voxer.
Well, that brings me to an app actually, because when I've heard that, when I found that Signal was stopping its SMS, I quickly had a look on F-Droid for a replacement SMS service, and I came up with QK SMS. And this is actually a really nice material design app. It's got lots of the functionality you would expect, all of the functionality you'd expect with a regular SMS app. I really like it. I use it a lot, and because we still use SMS, I don't use WhatsApp. But I think SMS is another inevitability is going to die. People are just going to be using web messaging.
No, I really just still hate text messaging. I feel like every time I open up a text messaging app, I lose like 10 IQ points.
Yeah, well, I send a lot of images, and I got my bill the other day, and it was like $20 for all the pictures I'd sent to people. I was going, if I'd done it on Signal, it would have been free.
You have to pay for pictures.
Yeah.
Strike 2 for New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That is interesting. So going off of
But if
that
you're looking
door,
for a new SMS client, QK SMS is pretty good.
oh, nice. Yeah, that's actually what what I wanted to know. And do you have any counters for that door besides Threema?
Well, I mean, again, if you want to, you could use even Facebook Messenger if you're a sadist, or WhatsApp. I push everyone I can towards Voxer just because I love the fact that I have the web integration to it and the seamless voice integration when I want it. Except for that,
the people I get messages from are knuckleheads, man. No one's gonna do like. I just need straight up something that will catch SMS that people send.
what I typically do is I use my Google Voice, and I use that just because.
No Google Voice in Canada. What's next?
You have no Google Voice?
No, man.
You can't get an American number?
Neither.
No. I mean, maybe if I used a VPN and went through some other techniques, but no.
Okay. Grand Central. Let me think. Yeah, fax machines. You got any fax machines down there? Yeah. Wow, this is not good. Yeah. See, I'll put it like this. I equate it to like using a different keyboard on my Android device. Why? Any other keyboard you use will then have access to everything you type, including passwords, kind of thing. So I'm only like now trusting like the native keyboard that comes installed on the device, not Gboard per se. Whatever comes installed on the device is what I'm using. When it comes to messaging apps, I have a hard time using anything else than what's installed on the device. And right now I'm still using Google Messenger, and it sucks. It's not good. I push people towards Google Voice when I can. I push people towards Voxer when I can. Otherwise, I tell them just use email, which of course is more complicated than ever. Too hard, too many typings.
Speaking of Voxer, my youngest daughter was looking for an app. She came to me and said, "Dad, can I sign up for Snapchat?" And I said, "Hell no, you cannot." And apparently all her friends use their parents' Snapchat accounts on their parents' devices to talk to each other, just about whatever they want to talk to each other about. And I'm going, "Oh no, we're not getting a Snapchat account." And so I suggested that they use Voxer instead, which was voice messaging. You can do web messaging. You can use it on any device, including a laptop or a tablet or a phone. And they're all now using Voxer and having a great time with it. So that's good. And it's not Snapchat.
I had no idea that Snapchat was even still around.
Yeah. It's still going strong, apparently.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things. As long as old people aren't using it, kids will keep using it.
I figured the old people would be using it. It's been out long enough that the Facebook crew go over there and push the youngins out.
Oh no. I think they would need an AARP like ad or something.
You got another app there, Dor?
The one I'm going to bring partially just because it's a utilitarian thing, but also because I actually thought it looked good. And this one was on F-Droid. This is called Breakdown Timer with periods between it. Break, period, down, period, timer. A timer with in-between notifications is what it says. Version 1.1. Basically, you have this is a good way if you need to take like an hour, especially an hour is what it looks like, and break it down into segments. There was an app I brought a long time ago, Pomerito, which I know I'm saying it wrong, which is Italian for tomato. Where basically Pomodoro, thank you. Where the goal of the app is to, like, you work for 25 minutes, then you reward yourself with 5 minutes of break time or something to that effect. That was basically every app I've seen of them. It's literally just an A/B schedule, 25-5, 25-5, or 10-10, or 35-35. This app, at least you could break it down into different segments. Hypothetically, let's do 25 and 5, and then let's do 15 and 15. Because my second reward, I want it to be better, kind of thing. Because I need to go upstairs and cook an egg or something. I don't know. So I would say this to me, it was visual enough to where I could grasp it really quick, and in air quotes, it just worked.
Well, I would just say that this app must be really good because I bought exactly the same app last week.
Oh, well, there you go.
But Dor, you did a better job of presenting it.
Well, that explains why it was on my phone, because it's like Josh every now and then I look at my phone, like, how the hell did this get installed on my phone? I don't know. Let me talk about it.
What is this?
Are we still running that spreadsheet? You used to have a spreadsheet which would show all the apps that we bought on the shows.
Yeah, no, I found it was easier to just document them in the show notes and then search the show notes when I want to look at stuff.
Right, okay. Yep.
It technically works. Okay.
Cool. Hey, do you have any other apps that you went over last week that I can steal this week, Ivor?
I got a couple of games. Oh, actually, this is a good one. This is nice and simple. This is right up your alley. There you go. Install that one. This is called Scribbler. And it's got a description. It's called Right on the Screen. And that's effectively what it does. It's a notification tray. You pull down your notification shade and you press the Scribbler bar, and then it turns your screen into a blank screen or a black sort of grayed out screen, and then you can write with your hand or a stylus if you use one of those on the screen, take a screenshot, and then do whatever you like with it. It's a very, very simple, tiny app. And I thought something like this would be really useful to have for some reason. I haven't used it yet, but I'm sure I will find a use case for it. I just think it was quite a good idea. So I like apps that have this kind of functionality that are just there if you need them.
You're going to use it in 3 months when you find your stylus behind your couch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I would say not complaining per se, but again, app developer, too lazy, put up images, screenshots. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry. Yeah.
You pull it down from your notification shade, click the button, and then whatever was behind the notification shade, you can scribble on that. You can like annotate images and draw circles around stuff. Okay. Gotcha. Well, that's useful as hell.
Much.
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll share my screen. I'll show you how it works. Just a minute.
Are you using F-Droid exclusively now, Ivor?
Pretty much. I really don't use the. I'm having a bit of trouble sharing my screen here. Sorry. Yeah, I'm pretty much using F-Droid all the time. I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Well, his computer didn't like that very much. Now did it?
Is this where we pretend we know what he said? Because in the final product, it'll actually be a question. I disagree, Ivor, completely. I think that F-Droid is probably better than Google Play, and I know that you love Google's Play so much. For anybody that didn't know, Ivor's no longer here, so we can actually say whatever we want to. Door.
Yeah, he kind of went boom. I will say this: I'm all for competition, but one thing I would do if I was him, I would try to also use app to IDE, APE to EIDE. So then what you can do is you can download stuff from F-Droid, use app to IDE, take all of your F-Droid apps, upload them to your own personal library. So then when you change devices and kind of things, it makes it super easy to hop on a new device and get things set up.
Say that again. App to what?
APT
APT.
OID. Yeah.
APTOID. Aptoid. Oh, I see. It's one word.
OIDE. Yeah.
OIDE. Okay. The alternative Android App Store.
Yeah. Well, it's more than that. You can literally basically make a free account, make your own in air quote app store, and basically back up all your APKs to your own personal account. Then you can say, hey, here are all the apps I have, and click a button and you send me a link and I can have access to all your apps.
Oh, that's cool.
Extremely convenient is what I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm a fan. So
can you install or remove apps from your phone using this?
Yeah. And you can browse other people's libraries. So hypothetically, you need this explicit one version of this app. You can look on there, find it, and download it.
Oh, it's not okay.
It is
can you
both
do it from the web page too. Or
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Well,
Really?
with the web page, you can. I think it does want the app installed on your phone. I'm pretty sure. Think of it like F-Droid, but instead of just having one master library, you can have your own personal library with your own personal apps, with your own personal versions of those apps. And then you can also browse other people's. Well, we see a chair.
It's got a lot of pillows on it. Let's should we analyze his bedroom?
No, I blame the dog. I think it was the dog's fault. The dog peed on his computer. Pepper. It's all Pepper's fault.
Got the light switch there on the right.
Yeah.
Where's all his Elvis gear? Didn't he have a bunch of Elvis gear before?
Hey, if he's anything like Wayne Gretzky, his wife made him put all his hockey stuff in the garage.
Ivor's in the chat though, saying that yeah, right there, man. Aptoid. Oh, it shows up again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back.
Hey.
So where do you download Aptoid from? Do you have to go to the website on your phone, or is it in F-Droid store?
You can just go to the website on your phone, and right there will be a big like splash thing saying download. Yeah, it's pretty easy is what I'll say. Yeah, right in the very top right-hand corner of the web page is download. Yeah. So did you want to bring a game, Ivor, really quick?
Oh, yeah.
Or no, you wanted to show us.
Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to show you the thing. Let's see if that'll work this time. Yes.
See, and I was blaming your dog was peeing on your computer.
Okay, so here's my screen. Can you see that all right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So you go down there, and then you go press on Scribbler, and you see it kind of grays out or blacks out the screen. So then I can just write on the screen. Like that. And then I could just copy it and share it, edit it, delete it, do whatever I like.
Right.
And then that's it. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah, and if you're the kind of person who likes to annotate like everything you send to somebody, then that would be a definite shortcut to screenshot, edit, and then put your stuff on it.
I just liked it.
It is handy if you need to.
I'm sure
walk somebody through something as well. You know, if you're on the phone trying to figure out, you can circle it, send it to them. Here you go.
It does have that annoying black or grey shade, which might be a bit of a problem with that sort of thing. But obviously, the developer hasn't gone to a lot of effort to describe what it does. The description is, this app could be useful if you were doing a presentation with a phone, perhaps with a projector, and needed to draw on top of the display. It's a great description right there.
Yeah, it's just somebody that figured out part of the APK. Like, hey, wait a minute. I can access this.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I keep it on there just in case I need it at some stage.
Very cool. I'm going to bring one last game, and then I have to go upstairs and tend to some food. This game is a game I'm bringing because I have it on my Steam Deck, and for 2 months straight, it was like the second and third most popular game being played on the Steam Deck for the month. Long story short, Steam Deck has sold over 1 million units, and this game was like the second most played game on that platform. I want to say on Steam it's like a $2 or $3 purchase with a really like quick download, small download, really DLC you can buy for like another $1, super cheap. It is completely free on Android, but it has ads. It's called Vampire Survivors by Podnutz. 4.8 average reviews, 1 million downloads. I swear to you guys, this app came out less than 3 days ago, I want to say. T for teen, we'll see here if I'm right or not. Last updated December 20th, 2022. This thing's been out for 2 weeks. I don't even know it. 3 weeks, I don't even know it. Dang. Okay. Data safety. No data is shared with third party. This app collects location, personal data, and 2 others. Data is encrypted and transferred, and you can request for it to be deleted. About the game, come here, and it says version 1.2.119, update December 20th, 1 million plus downloads, 7.0 Android up, teen blood violence, permissions, other network access. That's it, because it wants to have ads. The way I'm going to describe this game is, the reason I like this game is it almost harkens back to Atari level of gameplay. And what I mean by that, easy to learn how to play, really difficult to master, but more importantly, as you're playing this game, you can hold intelligent conversations with other people and not miss a beat. There's only one controller in this game, and that is to move your guy around. All of the things that you shoot are all automatic shooting, and it's very pixel bitted, retro graphics where your goal is you're like in a horror thing, you're killing all the enemies that are really swarming all around you in true bullet hell fashion. There's like 15 different things you can upgrade. If you max out like these 3 things in the right fashion, then you get a super weapon kind of thing. Originally, the game would not ever last more than half an hour. After half an hour, Grim Reaper would come kill you. Boom, done. So you have to try to do the best you could possibly do in a half an hour. Now there's some end bosses where you can fight and beat. To me, this is the perfect kind of brain dead game to where when you just want to have one controller moving around, and then you just pick your upgrades, pick your enhancements, and then you just go through complete bullet hell scenarios. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. I've now had like 3 or 4 people where I show it to them and they're like, this looks stupid. Dude, just play it. This looks really dumb. It's bad. Just play it. And then 3 days later, oh my God, I can't stop playing it. And I'll say this is the perfect example of the game. Bigger the screen, better the experience. If you have a Chromebook or a tablet and you play this, it will be better than just playing it on your phone. I have no problem saying that.
Well, you had me at vampires. I'm a sucker for vampires, so.
Yeah, this is
a sucker for vampires. I get it.
Yeah, this is the kind of game I have no problem saying. I don't want to say game of the year. It's only January. It might be game of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a game. I'm trying to find it, but I thought it was Ghosts and Goblins, but it's not. It's a regular Nintendo. I think it was a NES, but you could play. It was a team game, so you could have two people, and you go through a castle or dungeons or something like that, and it has very similar graphics.
But yeah, these are definitely harking back to a long ago graphic style.
It was fun though.
Awesome.
I was trying to figure out what it was, so I was looking up Ghosts and Goblins and Dungeon Scroll, trying to remember which one it was. But it's fun seeing those old games.
Can I bring in a game as well here, Dor? Have you got time for that?
Oh,
yeah. So this is one for the nerds going back a while. Going back to 1984. If you've ever heard of Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, they wrote some dungeon games. Remember the old Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Mm-hmm.
So Ian Livingstone wrote a very famous Choose Your Own Adventure novel called Death Trap Dungeon, and there were actually 3 of them, and they were enormously popular. And now I was very glad to see that they've been turned into a game called Death Trap Dungeon Trilogy. Now, if you're buying this in New Zealand, it costs $5.49, but I think that's around about $3 or $4 in the US. It comes from Nomad Games, last updated December 6th, 2019, so it's a bit old. Version 1.3.35 requires Android 4.0 and up and has 1,000 plus downloads. Content rating is 12 plus because it's got horror content. So you've got these 3 Death Trap Dungeon adventures that were done by Ian Livingstone back in 1984. They are Death Trap Dungeon, Trial of Champions, and Armies of Death. Very, very cheerful sounding names. So basically you can choose one of those 3 modules and you can go through all of them turn by turn. In fact, the first one leads on to the second one, the second one leads on to the third one. So you can do each in sequence. You can choose to be a different character. So you can be a dwarf, an elf, a barbarian, a rogue, a paladin, or something called a chaos warrior, whatever that is. And you work your way through the story, making your way through the dungeon, avoiding traps and collecting treasure and slaying monsters. The game is pretty much run on rails. You can't decide where you want to go. You know, you basically have to go in a certain direction and present you with a door. Either you open the door or you don't, or you go into a room and you immediately confronted with a fight of a monster, or you trap, or there's some kind of a puzzle which you have to solve. So because it's run on rails, you can end up repeating, because you will die quite a lot. You will die very often. So you will end up going through the same sort of scenario again and again. But I found there with the different characters and you can choose different options and things like that. I still got quite a few hours gameplay. The combat module, the combat engine is actually really quite entertaining. It's run on dice rolls, so you have these simulated dice rolls. And you have to roll a number of certain number of dice over a certain number. So like you get 6 dice, regular dice, and you have to roll over a 2 to hit your opponent. If you do, then the opponent takes damage, and then he gets to go at you. So it's sort of turn on turn. But I found it quite stimulating, quite entertaining, quite interesting, especially as I'd read the original books, and it was quite true to the original novels. The graphics are really good. It's kind of bird's eye view graphics. You go through this dungeon with a top-down view of your character and what it encounters on a map. But the map is only a little bit of, only a screen distance in front of you. You can't really see what the hell's going on beyond far too much beyond your own character's eyesight. I still go back to it every now and then. And it's a good bit of nostalgia and dungeoneering and dungeon crawling and role playing, which is great.
Very cool. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the cards, I thought, oh, not a card based game.
No.
I'm not a fan of the games where it's like everything is a card. I get the allure to that, but I want more. This has more. I like the top down view. It's okay if it's on rails as long as it lets me pick. I'm going through this door. I'm going through that door. Kind of thing.
Yeah, there are multiple options at each point. Yeah, but what you've encountered behind the door will never change. It will be the same thing. So you can do different things though.
Gotcha. Yeah, in the U.S. it's $3.49, which I will say is a very fair price for what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean the graphics are actually really good, and the gameplay is great. And if you ever played these games when you're a kid, then it'd be a trip down memory lane.
Very
$4.29 here, and it's I can't only 1,000 plus downloads.
Yeah, that was. I thought that was a bit odd. It should normally have more than that because it was quite a famous module, quite a famous book and well known. Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone are quite well known in the fantasy realm. So I'm surprised it hasn't been more popular.
I thought that Steve was the lesser known Jackson 6. And then Red in the chat says this from the guy who recommended Rap, Roy Orbison, and Cling Film. Choose your own adventure to me. So I'm not sure. I think I missed something there.
Well, could be worse. Okay, yeah.
Oh no, that's not Red. Sorry, that's your brother.
Oh really?
That's the ED.
That sounded like a very Eric comment. I didn't realize he was in the chat. My chat's been turned off for a while. Oh, here he is.
Very cool.
Oh, right. Rap, Roy Orbison and Cling Film and choose your own adventure to me. Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah,
it's a corpse behind me, Eric.
Exactly. All right, guys, I gotta round this up. I will say I did have at least a couple more apps in the queue that I'm going to try to save till next week. I think at least one of them is worth teasing. It's called MYNE ebook downloader for Gutenberg Project. Gutenberg Project is trying to take every book and document it, which I think is a good thing. With that, I digress. Do you have any parting words there, Ivor?
Oh, no, just looking forward to the new year, and hopefully we can have a few more regular podcasts if our schedules allow and Door's health is on the improve. So, yeah, hopefully we can get a bit more busy, a bit more active, and get to know you guys a bit more.
Sounds good to me. Josh, have any words?
Yeah, I'm going to really work on trying to fit the word schedule into my vocabulary and start using it on a regular basis.
Gotcha. I'm going to try to use more words in better ways.
In gooder ways.
In gooder ways.
In gooder ways.
All right. I want to thank everyone for downloading. Thank everyone for participating. Thank Eric and Swift for coming out. Don't think I missed anybody else. And I want to thank everyone for their support. Again, patreon.com/Android App Addicts. Easiest way to support us to make it the next time there's a multi-$100 hosting fee. I don't have to worry about it. That would be splendid. I want to thank everyone again for coming out. Thank for their support, and we will hopefully talk to everyone again real soon. Stop. Documents. Yeah, my nephew's birthday is in 2 days. And he has a new girlfriend, so he's telling everyone money for his birthday so he can take his girlfriend out. And then he said, but from Uncle Steve, I don't want money. I want him to bring me wings. So
isn't that Paul McCartney?
Yeah, exactly. So upstairs in the Suve, I got like 24 wings that have been cooking for 3.5 hours. And then tomorrow I got to do another 24.
Wow.
So they just fall off the bone. Okay, I'm going to kill the stream because I got to go potty. All right, guys.
Oh my god, you guys together.